I would say definitely find out about the background, find out about the size of the company, right? You have a lot of franchises. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, just depends on what you want. If you want boutique type of a service, franchise is probably not for you. So it just really depends on your goals. But ask about the size. Ask if they know their caregivers. Find out about the background of the staff. What experience they have. I would also go meet them. Seriously, I think that's probably even before you ask questions. Just go meet the person. Go meet whoever runs it, whether it's a CEO, whether they have somebody else in place. But find out what their values are and whether or not you can connect them on a personal level. That's really it's more important than any questions, to me at least, right?
When caregiving feels overwhelming and the system feels impossible to navigate, this is your guide. Here, you'll learn ways to navigate long-term care planning, find real support for caregiving, and prepare you for the road ahead. I'm your host, Lindsay Friedman, and now you're not in this alone. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Care Compass. I'm your host, Lindsay Friedman, and today we are here with Simona Gamarnik from Bloom Palm Care, a home care company in Palm Beach County in South Florida. Welcome, Simona.
Thank you. Great to be here. It's a nice Monday morning, at least here in Florida.
I'm in Ohio, and it is a beautiful Monday morning here. It sort of looks like a Florida day here, so I'm thrilled.
Nice. Excellent.
So I like to start off every episode because it's really important for people to know who you are. So tell me who you are, what you do, even though I kind of touched on that, and most importantly, why you do it.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. So I'm Simona Gamarnik, as you said. I'm the owner and CEO of Blue Palm Care. We are a home care agency located our office in Boca Raton, Florida, in the Palm Beach County. We are locally family-owned boutique home care company, and we really provide a high-touch and relationship-driven approach to care. We also developed what we call an independence model, and if there's if there's time a little bit later in the podcast, we can talk about that. But basically, the bottom line is we are not just task oriented. When we look at the person, we look at the whole person. We don't say, okay, you're sick or you need this. We look at it a little bit differently. What can we do for you to what can we help with for you to maintain your independence while living at home? So that's kind of how we look at things, and this is what we do. So we provide companionship, we provide personal care, we will drive you to a doctor appointment, to the mall, whatever you really need. But it's really all about what that client needs, right? And we don't look at people as just patients. It's somebody's dad, it's somebody's mom, right? It's very personal to people, and we need to treat it as such. We can't just come in and say, okay, you need this and that. It's not like that, and it should not be like that. In terms of why am I doing this, I had a very interesting experience with my grandfather. So my grandfather died it's been like about 8 years. He was 98 years old. He lived by himself. He finished the last edition of his book about his life. A couple of days before he died, we actually found it in his apartment. He cooked home himself. I mean, he did have somebody cleaning up a little bit, but like literally an hour. He walked everywhere. He refused to take a car, but he was able to walk even for pain. But he maintained his independence till the last minute. And to me, this is something that everybody should have. I mean, maybe not everybody is as healthy as he was, right? But they should be able to do it. So if you wanna, let's say you wanna make lunch, but you can't get yourself to the supermarket, you can get somebody to drive you. But at least you're gonna get it yourself. You're gonna bring it home. You're gonna make those choices. Not somebody else making that for you, but it's yours. So that's kind of why I do it. I really would like to get to the point where at least clients within Blue Palm Care and hopefully everywhere else, have that level of independence. So to me, my grandfather's definitely had a huge influence on how I'm looking at things right now.
I absolutely love that because I think a lot of older people hear home care and then they're like, you're taking something from me, you're
Yeah,
taking my independence. And
yes.
so it isn't as welcoming, right? So I love this idea of home care is encouraging independence and promoting it and potentially making it so you could potentially do these things without home
Exactly.
care, right? So a very positive spin on it to the client who needs the care.
Yeah.
How do you approach this? And then do you ever get pushback from people who are like, well, you're here to do what I want and I don't want to be independent?
I've never heard that before. Honestly, the first thing that I hear from not everybody, but from a lot of clients and from their children, right, is that I want my mom to be independent, right? She's been independent her whole life. Up until, a month ago, she was able to do it herself. And now she can't. What can we do to support her? So that's usually the kind of questions we get. We do have what we call like an independence questionnaire because independents look very different, right? To different people. What is it that you are trying to get out of it? And talking to the children as well. What are your goals for your mom and dad? How do you think they want their life to look like? Do they want to maintain their lifestyle? And the answer is yeah, of course they do. So how can we support them? And in some cases, maybe it means getting a walker so they can get around, the apartment so they can actually go down to the pool area. Instead of just sitting in one place, which is totally fine. But that's kind of what we do. We ask those questions, right? It's not, we don't come in and say, okay, you need help with food preparation. You need help with, we need to get you out of bed. That's very, very negative. Very negative. And it's also very much task oriented. We want to get away from that. We don't want to be task oriented. We want to be lifestyle oriented. How does your lifestyle looks like and how do you want to continue? So in terms of pushback, to go back to your question, I haven't heard that. But then again, so the clientele we get is usually, so we're private duty, right? So it's a little bit of a different approach. I think this is people who really care about their lifestyle, right? That's kind of why they call us. And so maybe it's a little bit different, but yeah, no pushback so far. And everybody likes the idea. They bring this up themselves, really. We don't even have to, I don't have to sell it.
I absolutely love this idea. And I love even more hearing that you have an independence questionnaire versus a what kind of care, what kind of tasks do you want done questionnaire.
Right.
Can you share a couple of like those questions and what they're looking for? And especially what should adult children be talking to their parents about when we talk about finding home care that increases independence?
Yeah, so let me start with the adult children. I just want to acknowledge first, before we go any further, this is extremely difficult for them, right? This is people who have seen their mom and dad being independent, doing things for themselves their entire lives, right? And then all of a sudden, they have to have that conversation now. It's extremely difficult. Sometimes they have to make decisions for them. A lot of times, mom and dad don't want anybody. They're like, why do I need this person in my house? I'm by myself. I'm fine. So that conversation with the children, that conversation that the children need to have with their parents is very, very, very difficult. In terms of the questionnaire and how we kind of approach it, we look at the 6 different pillars of independence, right? We talk about nutrition, right? I mean, I know it's very basic and, everybody has lunch, but really, based on where you are, what kind of nutrition do you really want? And we want to make sure that we do something that you actually like, right? While still, maybe somebody likes fruit, maybe somebody likes something else. But we need to know what that is so we can actually help you with that. Physical activity is another one. How active are you? Or how active is mom and dad? Do they exercise? Do they like to just walk on the beach? Maybe they are not in the position to do that, but would they want to, even in a wheelchair, would they want to do a chair exercise? Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can talk about. Would we, let's say the mom is in the wheelchair as of a month ago, but she was, with a walker before. Do you want to see if we can get her back to the walker? And that actually happens. I've actually seen that happen when people kind of think, okay, I'm stuck, but you're not. Let's work with you. Let's encourage you. Mental engagement is another one that we talked about in the questionnaire, and that's one of our pillars as well. keeping the mind active, whether it's playing games or maybe going down to the recreation room, playing with other people, engaging with other people, not just keeping that person in the house. I mean, that's nice. You come in and you say, okay, I'm going to do one, two, three for you. You sit here, watch TV. As we all know that as people grow older, they need community more, not less. Right. And that's one of the predictive factors on how long they're going to live as well. So that mental engagement and the social connections are one of the most important things, at least as far as I'm concerned, right? So that's part of the our questionnaire as well. Creative expression, things like listening to music, art. I actually push for something that people think that I'm completely crazy. I like gardening. Even in the apartment, you can get like a little plant. You can go to Trader Joe's and get herbs. So take that pot, put it somewhere else. Make sure you water it, right? And you see it grow. So it's really it brings something in people, not to mention the fact that it's really the soil is really good for arthritis, but that's kind of like a side effect of that. And then a really personalized independent planning that comes out of that questionnaire. We really, I know everybody calls it a care plan, right? Everybody has a care plan. Our care plan is not just about the tasks. It's about, how do we support, that independence.
I mean, I keep saying this, but I just love this approach so much, including the idea of creativity and gardening because it's purpose. And I think a lot of home care companies go in and say, I'm going to shower you, I'm going to put you in bed, I'm going to make sure you have lunch, right? And I'm just going to do all of these things for you to make sure the tasks are done. And we forget about the value of purpose. And and it's beautiful that you are bringing that. So, with that, when we were talking, you're doing all of these amazing things, but what are some of the other things that home care cover in the state of Florida? Because as you and I've talked, like it's different across the country. So, in Florida, what can somebody expect with home care?
So on a very basic level, right? What we are allowed to do really, not so much of what we want to do, but what we're allowed to do is it's companionship is number one, right? Companionship and engagement. It's personal care support. Maybe somebody needs help, like you said, wash your hair, take a shower, help you maybe brush your teeth, kind of depending on where you are. Assistance with, anything. Let's say you want to go somewhere, you want to go to a doctor. The aides will drive you to a doctor. They will go in with you. They're not allowed to talk to the doctor because we're not what's called skilled, right? So we're not doing that. We're not allowed to give them medications, but what we're allowed to do is medication reminders, right? So we always have it on our schedule. Let's say somebody takes medication twice a day. So the aide will say, hey, Mr., Mrs., whatever, it's time for you to take your medication very gently without pushing, without yelling at somebody. Because, sometimes people with dementia, they get upset, they don't want to do it. And it's meals, preparing meals, housekeeping, like light housekeeping organization, maybe organize the closet, maybe take away the trash, maybe organize your newspapers. And of course, a lot of our clients have, memory issues. So it's like a memory cognitive support. Could be games, right? Could be puzzles. I've been reading up a lot about the music therapy, which is amazing. I know you need a license for that, so I'm not going to say we're doing it, but we can elements of that, right? It's so interesting. This is kind of a sideline, but I really like to talk about. I was reading about this choir. I think it was somewhere in Midwest. The choir consisted of people with heavy Alzheimer's, like advanced Alzheimer's. And what happened was when they listened to the music from their youth, somehow they actually remember that, right? And they start singing. And so they got the entire choir together and they're like totally singing. And this is the people that don't remember what happened yesterday. They remember this music. So there is a very interesting connection between, the memory loss and the music. So we try to do elements of it. We're not building choirs, but we're doing elements. But we are in the middle of Boca, which has had a lot of Jewish population, has some religious communities as well. So we're Jewish owned and we understand the laws of, Shabbat and Kashrut. We understand when people want to go to the temple on Saturday morning. So our caregivers are also trained to respect that, but to also prepare meals, based on how we're, doing separate milk and dairy. So they understand how that works. And so we're able to provide that extra level of support to the Jewish community as well.
I think that's fantastic because I think a lot of people in the industry know you it's very cultural based. How you behave in somebody's home, how you care for them.
Yes.
So it's wonderful that you're able to meet those needs and that you train your aides to meet the needs of your clients.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said it's very cultural based. So it really is. And not only that, I think it's also personality based. I think it's both too. That's another thing that we look at. So when we do a match, it's not just matched on, okay, this person needs that and you have it, or they need you to drive them, they have a car. This is all great. This is like very basic. Are you a good match based on personality? Maybe the client is very quiet. Maybe they don't want to talk, and the caregiver just yapping the whole day, right? You don't want that. Or, maybe it's the other way around. So you really want to make sure that there is a personality match. I think it's just important as everything else because otherwise they are at home. You're coming in, or the aide is coming in as this person who they generally don't even want there. So they need to find a connection, and it's on the aide to find that connection. And it's on us to make sure that we do have the right aid for the right person. So thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. That's extremely important.
Yeah, and the other thing that I know, yes, there are some aides who walk in and everybody loves them, right?
Yes.
How do you ensure that there is a quality match? I'm assuming you know your aides pretty well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then what do you do to understand the client to make sure you are making that great match? Because a great match is going to have consistency and longevity and less turnover, which is always positive. So, how do you do that?
Yeah. The first thing that I usually do, I actually visit the clients, right? So I have a conversation. We talked about the independence questionnaire, but we also have a conversation. You get a sense on who they are. You also talk to the children to get their view because if the clients their memory their cognitive abilities are good, everything is good, no problem, but sometimes that's not the case. So then the extra layer would be talking to the children. What type of person does your mom like? Who does she get along better, right? So we gather that information as well. It's not like a document. It's more of a conversation, right? It's not, I don't have like a formal document saying, okay, this person like to, I don't know, laugh at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? It's not that. But what type of personality? And of course, we do know our caregivers. I don't have hundreds of them. We are small. We're really more of like a boutique type, but that allows me for the personal connections on both sides, right? I can tell you about my age. I can tell you everything. I can tell you what they like. I can tell you where the children are. I know what they like, what they don't like. I also, one of the things that I do is I kind of like their food preferences too because I like to bake. And so a lot of times I would like, just make a bread or a cookies or whatever, just to bring them. But for that, I need to know them too. So the personal connection, getting to know people. I also visit clients at least once a week just to kind of get a sense of where they are, how if they're happy with their care, is there anything else that they need?
This is amazing. You are a huge asset and a very special lady in the home care community. I
I think
So, to adult children who are trying to make this transition, what would you tell them to make sure? Obviously, if they're in Palm Beach County, they should call you, but most people aren't in Palm Beach County. So, if they're not in Palm Beach County and they are going to start interviewing for a home care company, what questions should an adult child ask?
I would say definitely find out about the background, find out about the size of the company, right? You have a lot of franchises. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, just depends on what you want. If you want boutique type of a service, franchise is probably not for you. So it just really depends on your goals. But ask about the size. Ask if they know their caregivers. Find out about the background of the staff, what experience they have. I would also go meet them. Seriously, I think that's probably even before you ask questions, just go meet the person. Go meet whoever runs it, whether it's a CEO, whether they have somebody else in place, but find out what their values are and whether or not you can connect them on a personal level. That's really the most, it's more important than any questions to me, at least, right? Establish this relationship. If you don't feel the connection, and it could be on a very basic level, right? It's not something that that person did or did not do or say or did not say, but you don't have that connection, then move on. So it's just, and again, this is just my approach. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but I do think that personal connection is literal. You need to be comfortable with the person you're entrusting, the care of your parents to. So I would definitely start with that. And then you can ask questions, right? You can ask what kind of caregivers they have. You might have special needs in terms of the language. As we all know, once they have the advanced stages of dementia, sometimes they forget if English is their second language, a lot of times they actually forget that language. And so now you need to find somebody who speaks their native language. So in all of this, do they have caregivers who do that? How do they have caregivers? I mean, do they, if they have requests, do they just post really quickly and get something, within half a day without meeting that person? Do they do that? If they do, walk away, right? So it just really depends on but I would look for a personal connection. That would be definitely the first thing for me.
No, and I think that's great advice. Now, I want to flip it a little because I was a caregiver for a long time professionally, right? And I'd also seen families that have taken advantage of caregivers, and I never want to see that happen because it's a hard job that there's passion and compassion and everything, right? And you don't want to burn these people out who want to do this job and they're there because they want to take care of your mom or dad.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what is something you wish families knew and or you would like them to hear about after they've hired this person? Boundaries, expectations. What do you wish they all knew so that relationship is solid and sustainable?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Here's what I hear from a lot of caregivers. It might not be the exact answer you're looking for, but this is like number one concern that I hear from caregivers. They end up in the situations, especially with patients with dementia, where the clients start yelling at them. They call their families and they say, this caregiver, I have it happen like literally all the time. That caregiver did not do the right thing. I'm not comfortable with them. They yelled at me. They hurt me. A lot of people fire at them right on the spot. I hear this all the time without doing an investigation. What families need to understand, if mom has dementia, she might not remember things the way they actually happen. It's possible she unwillingly made it up, right? Not on purpose, but they need to understand that. And if they don't, then what happens is that caregiver is fired. Then you go to another one, and the same thing is going to happen because that caregiver potentially didn't do anything wrong, right? So I think that's one thing that I would tell the families: just be careful, understand where your parents are, understand their behavior, and talk to them, talk to caregivers, talk to before firing them, find out exactly what happened. Talk to me, talk to the owner, talk to whoever is the supervisor, but find out. I actually had a situation like that 2 weeks ago where I was talking to the client and she said, this particular caregiver, I want her gone. She's horrible. She did not do well. She did not lift me the right way. She didn't do that. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. And so I started looking for somebody new. And then I paused and I said, I have experience with this caregiver. She's never done this before. Something is wrong here. So I called her daughter, client's daughter, and we talked. And she's like, that's not what happened. So, you know what I say? But she was aware. But I'm saying most of the time, the children will have same reaction. They will say, okay, move on. And that's not good for anybody. So definitely, please communicate to the caregivers. Have that relationship. I like in my agency, all the caregivers, all the clients and the children, they have each other's numbers. They don't have to go for me. I mean, I need to be aware, but call them directly. Find out what happened. So that's what I would say. Have that, understand that, have those numbers, talk to the caregivers.
Yeah, I think that's great because communication is key across everything, right? So here too. So make sure you're communicating with your caregivers and remembering this is a relationship, right? Relationships are not always easy, especially intimate relationships like caregiving.
Yeah, and it's very hard. And as you know, a lot of people are not comfortable with somebody now cleaning them. or changing their diaper. I mean, can you imagine for somebody who's been independent their whole life, now all of a sudden they need somebody to put a diaper on them? I mean, how does that feel? And the caregivers, I think for the most part, are very conscientious about. They understand what it needs, but families need to understand that too. They need to understand that the mom might be taking this out on the caregiver just because she's extremely uncomfortable with this whole thing, really. And I think the other thing is like with caregivers, I think it's important for us as agency owners to understand the caregivers, understand their schedules, understand that they have kids, understand that their schedule evolves around the kids and be flexible. Right. So I need to, so but to me, I have a client and I have a caregiver, and they're not literally on the same level. One is not more important than the other because caregivers are human beings, just like client is a human being, right? So I have those relationships with the caregivers too. And they call me sometimes and say, listen, I have this event in school next Sunday. But yeah, no problem. We'll figure this out, right? But thank you for letting me know. So I think that part to support caregivers and their lifestyle, right? That's how you get the care. It's a mutual relationship. It's not one-way street. It's two-way street. I need to, if they want to, if I want their respect, I need to respect them.
It is. It's so important because people who listen or read what I'm all about the caregivers, be family caregivers or professional caregivers. We are all doing our best to tend to the needs of somebody else that we care about. And
Exactly.
times it can be challenging.
Exactly.
No, this has been fantastic. I'm so glad you joined me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Do you have any final words and will you let everyone know where to reach you?
I think the final word is that if you are somebody whose mom and dad are getting to the point where they need help, don't wait until they're sick, right? It's not about that. Don't wait to the point where they get really bad. Support their independence if they need little things, right? Get that private duty, and you don't need 24/7. Get them for 4 hours so that mom can make her own lunch, that she can go to the store with a caregiver, right? Go to the store and she does it for herself. Support that. That's going to extend their lives. I don't have scientific proof or anything, but I do believe that maintaining your independence, maintaining that social aspect will extend somebody's life. This is just my core belief. So just think about that.
And where do people find you?
So our website is bluepalmcare.com. Our phone numbers on the website were very easy to find, bluepalmcare.com. And so, yeah, and call me if you guys if you have any questions at all. You don't have to become my client. You don't even have to live in Palm Beach County. But I do talk to a lot of people. Like a lot of people call for advice. We also have a huge network of people supporting senior communities. So if you need anything, I can probably get you a referral of somebody who can help you. So we're all help each other, really. We're really there to support the senior community, not just on business.
And I love that. And I'll put your contact information below. And thank you again for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. That's a wrap for today. Until next time, remember, you're not alone. Take things one step at a time, stay centered, and trust your compass. See you next time on LT Care Now's Care Compass.